What up, gang? Welcome back to Euphoric Consciousness. I hope you guys are well today. Today, I'm going to be talking about my controversial opinion that COVID-19 is just a massive cult. Let's get into it, guys. So, to preface this video, I'm going to use 3 examples. I'm going to be using Napoleon Hill's book, Outwitting the Devil. I'm going to be using substances, and we're going to be looking into Charlie Manson and kind of his life and what led him to becoming such a notorious cult leader. So without any further ado, let's get right into it, guys. So Napoleon Hill's book, if none of you guys have read it, is really just a conversation between him and the so-apparent devil. And in this book, the beginning, he asks the devil, "What are you?" And the devil answers him by simply stating, "I am the negative neuron within the body." There is no actual image of the devil. There is no horns. There is no weird looking tail. There's no scales. None of that. It's the same thing with God. God isn't white beard, gray hair. God is just God. There is no God. There is no devil. So think about it like this. The devil is simply the negative duality within good and evil. Because if you guys don't know what duality is just polar opposites, so black and white, good versus evil. The devil is just the negative side of duality, okay? Very, very simple. So, going further into the book, the devil starts to tell Napoleon his ploys, his secrets, how he gets people to be in mind control, and the biggest theme that I took away from this was fear.
There's nothing to wear. Did you guys hear that? I'm scared.
That he uses fear to trap people's minds, to take them captive, to make them more receptible to his control. And why fear is so powerful is because if you're fearful, you are paralyzed, because at that point you are too scared to take initiative against that fear to create strength, really. So fear is the most powerful way to create mind control. And within this book, the devil, the negative neuron, says he has control over 98% of the world. And I believe that. And the reason why I believe that is because I see so many people who are fearful. And I don't, like I said, I don't necessarily believe it's literally the devil captivating you guys or myself, because if that's the case, I'm part of that 98%. I don't believe that he is per se within my mind. I believe that in Napoleon Hill's book, Drifter is just someone who doesn't think for themselves, and they just do as their habits tell them to do. So when they don't have persistence to stay disciplined, they are creating a destructive habit. That destructive habit overall will lead them to more destructive habits. So when you bring in alcohol into the picture, you have cigarettes, which is already single-handedly the most destructive habit you can start for yourself with any substance besides sugar. Bro, just look at the eyeballs, man. This baby's gonna be addicted to sugar for the rest of her life, man. And you bring in alcohol, that is like a 1000x
No question about it. I am ready to get hurt again.
amplifier of having little to no persistence within your daily life. And what's really scary about alcohol, and I'm not saying I don't drink alcohol, I enjoy alcohol. I mean, I have beers, like I typically just drink on the weekend, once a week, and I'm getting much better. It's been hard for me because I was that person who liked to drink kind of often, not super often, but enough for it to be a problem. I'm okay with admitting that. I'm alright with that. But what it does is it takes your spirit. I mean, that's why it's called spirits. You have those hard alcohols, it's called spirits because it takes away the spirit within you and overrides yourself with drunkenness and stupidity, and just generally, we all know it's not good for you, but we have fun, so we still do it. But this liquid takes over your spirit. Not just that, it ruins your liver. It creates so much disease within your mind. It prematurely grows your brain, so your brain is basically getting older as you're young. So there's so much negativity to it, but the biggest thing about that is it takes away your persistence to stay active. It takes away the persistence to create habits that are constructive rather than destructive, okay? So now let's look at Charlie Manson, and I'm going to use one more substance in this that creates mind control. And bear with me, guys. I know I'm just trying to help you guys understand my point of view on why I think COVID-19 is a cult. So Charlie Manson, he was abused his entire life. If you look into him, he was raped as a kid. He went to juvie, was raped there, was beaten, tortured. Basically, the guy was living in the negative side of duality his entire life. Long story short, he went to jail. This was his second to last time in jail. 1959, he met a sociologist guy, Scientologist pastor.
The safely guarded Scientology doctrine. Please, your son deserves to be enlightened. Stan, do you want to hear the great secret doctrine of life behind Scientology?
Sure.
All right, go ahead and tell him. Would you excuse us, please? This is highly classified church information. Oh, rats.
And the guy kind of helped him throughout his 10 years in jail, and then once he got out in 61, he went to a Scientologist church, had his initiative there, and brought what he learned there into his newfound cult family. He took his learnings from Scientology and was able to create his group, and part of him creating that group was using substances, and one of those substances was actually LSD. And if you guys don't know, LSD was created through the MK Ultra program in the 60s, and they found that LSD was basically a truth serum. So they used it on senators, politicians, anyone of high influence or high power. They would use it on these people to gain information. So if you look into Charlie Manson, he's actually connected to MK Ultra. This is public information. You can look this up for yourself. I will leave a few resources in the description below for you guys to check out. So it is actually believed that Charlie Manson was part of the MK Ultra program and using LSD as a testing, like a form of testing it to see how perceptible people can become in mind control. And you guys know the story. They ended up killing for Charlie Manson because he had gave him all these substances, primed them, said, if you go do this, I'll give you alcohol, I'll give you cigarettes, I'll give you weed, I'll give you LSD. And what that does to your mind is it incentivizes action for reward. So they thought, I'm going to follow this guy, and he's just supplying me with just drugs. And every kid, every teenager likes that, you know? It's part of, I want to say part of the teenage life because it's been altered that way if you ask me. But it took all these experiences, he took all the psychological aspects of fear, substance abuse, just Scientology, and he mixed it all into his own creation, which made his group following so powerful and so willing to do whatever he wanted to do, and that led them to killing people, murdering people. So now we're going to get to my reasons why I think COVID-19 is a cult. So I know this is very controversial for you guys. I know some of you are probably very angry at me for thinking these things, and that is okay. Hear me out and let me know what you guys think in the comments below. I'm genuinely curious if you guys think I'm just a nut job. If you do think that's perfectly okay. If not, I would love to talk more about it with you and see where we can come to common ground or something. So the first thing I want to say is 2/3 of Americans are obese. We have an obesity problem.
By and large, everything you need to be happy. Your day is very important to us. Time for lunch. In a cup.
These people do not work out. They do not have a good cognitive functioning brain. They do not have a good respiratory system. They do not have a good, they're just very unhealthy people, okay? And this goes, and I wanted to bring this up because obese people fall into the categories of substance abuse, and food is just like cigarettes. If you can get into that negative space and that negative mindset, anything can become a bad substance for you. So their persistence is little to none. That's why they are obese. That's why they're out of shape. That's why they're lazy. And this is not a jab for any of you who guys are overweight. This is simply the truth. And sometimes people don't like the truth and it hurts their feelings. And I understand, but fact is fact. I mean, if you're out of shape, you're going to put on weight. You're not going to be able to breathe easier. You're going to have a more difficult time putting clothes on. So that's just how things are. It's not me being mean. That's not me making assumptions or anything like that. That's just the way the human body works. So we already have an obesity problem in America. And what my thought process is we have already gotten one vaccine. Now we're getting booster shots, okay? So the thing with thing with overweight people is they don't want to do the hard work, right? So with these boosters is you can stay out of shape if you get a booster. You can stay overweight as long as you get a booster, because if you get a booster, it's going to protect you from COVID-19. So already in itself there, it's kind of like, okay, if you were in shape, it's proven that if you're in shape that you're pretty much, you're in good hands. Like even if you do get COVID-19, you're not going to have a hard time. I'm pretty sure I've had it and I was fine. In less than a week, I was perfectly fine. So you're incentivizing out of shape people with no persistence to stay out of shape and to keep no persistence in their life. Okay, so with those booster shots and the vaccine, we are having new variants coming up now. We've already had one, I believe, maybe another. I honestly at this point don't pay attention, because what these variants are doing is it's reintroducing that initial fear that you had when COVID-19 first came out. Each time you hear a new variant, you are initially going to think this is mutated and we're going into another few months of lockdowns and this and this and that and blah 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 blah, and you think this new variant is more deadly than the one before, when if you look at current cases right now, okay, it's public information. And the reason why I keep saying like this is public information, you can look it up, is because I know so many of you guys are questioning everything I'm saying right now, which is normal. I understand. If you look at highly vaccinated areas in the country right now, they're having an 80% increase in cases. And again, I'm going to link these in the description below. So what that shows me in my mind, my thinking mind, is if there's a rise in COVID cases with highly vaccinated areas, the vaccine is not working. If anything, it's transmuting it at a faster rate, at a more serious rate. So everything that they've been saying is opposite, okay? That's what I think, at least, because everything that they said was, oh, this is going to protect you, it's going to keep you safe, you're not going to catch it, this is going to be over in a year, and look at where we are now. The second variant is dropped. We're having to get boosters now. If you look at the Pfizer, the effectiveness of the vaccine is decreasing. So, and this is why boosters are coming up, is because when that initial vaccine decreases, you need the booster to rise it back up. But in the data itself, it shows downtrend, uptrend, downtrend, uptrend, which makes no sense to me, because how can it go down then it goes back up as if it's more effective than it was 2 weeks ago? That doesn't make any sense, okay? We have less than 2 years of long-term studies on this vaccine. I don't know anything about it really. And Pfizer too just recently put out that they're extending the data being released till 2075, which also incentivizes to me that they're trying to hide something. This isn't me just being a conspiracy head or anything. This is me just thinking with my mind, just generally what someone should do when they think about it is, why are they trying to extend their data being released to 2075 if they don't have anything to worry about, if they don't have anything that's not illegal per se, then why don't they just release the information now? Give the people what they want, you know? So why are they making it till 2075, 50 years from now? It doesn't make any sense. So my next point might be a little hard for you guys to understand, so just bear with me. Is part of cults, they need group activity to form a stronger belief. So look at suburban homes. You have all these homes so close together, less than 20 feet apart. When every single one of these people believe the same fear, they're all fearful of the same thing. Your guys' consciousness and your guys' energetic fields are all coming together to create a stronger belief in that general group belief. So whether you guys want to believe it or not, we are energy beings at the end of the day. We can take energy readings to our bodies, and it's purely energy. Obviously we have skin, this and this and that, but this is made up by energy in itself, okay? So it's interesting to read about cults and then take that to a bigger picture, where you have hundreds of thousands of people living in a highly, not hundreds of thousands of people, millions of people living in a highly dense area, a highly occupied area, all fearing the same thing, all being told they need to stay inside their houses, all saying you should be fearful, you should just do what's best for the community and stay inside your house because you don't want to get yourself sick, you don't want to get your neighbor sick because then you're a bad person. And you take that on a large scale worldwide, where everyone everyone's consciousness, everyone's energy beings or fields are coming together. It's going to create a profound energy effect where everyone starts believing the same thing. Everyone starts going into one side of the story, and the people who are on the opposing side, they're the ones who are looked at as bad. But these people over here are so stuck in what they want to hear and what fear they're comfortable with, so they make these people over here look like nutheads, even though what these people are saying is trying to show the truth to the people who are on the negative side of the duality, which is fear. So you can look up countless videos of doctors coming out speaking about their worries about COVID-19 and what's not right about it, and why the CDC is wrong and the World Health Organization is wrong. And it's really startling to see that, because you have people posting about these doctors, and then you have these people who are in the suburban communities who are so scared that they are saying that these doctors are just doing this for publicity, and that they got fired for trying to kill the world and stuff. And as true as that could be, is but then again, we have vaccines, so what does it matter if we have a few doctors, well, not a few, a lot of doctors, I guess you could say, trying to show their beliefs? Overall, it shouldn't matter at all, because we have apparently the CDC and the World Health Organization and Pfizer and Moderna and Johnson & Johnson on our side to help keep us safe. So what does it matter? Why do they need to be censored? Why are these doctors losing their jobs after serving for 50 years? Why are these doctors almost losing their lives for trying to, quote unquote, I got in their eyes, expose the truth? So I am going to go with doctors who have lost their jobs, who have lost their entire livelihood, who have almost been killed for trying to speak up. And one of those people, one of those doctors, is actually my grandfather. So my grandfather, he himself is very questionable about COVID-19 and what the CDC, what the WHO is saying, and he himself is on the side of all of the thousands of hundreds of thousands of doctors who have been fired. He's on their side. So it's really hard for me to look into cults, to look into the power of fear, for me not to think that this is like a political cult at this point anymore. To get the people who are trying to expose the truth, well, if you want to call it the truth, or expose the corruption, and we get looked at like we're conspiracy heads or tin heads or whatever you want to call us, when we're really just trying to like shout out like something's not right here. And there's clear evidence of this, bright as day. Going back to how if you get like your information from one source and one source only, you're going to be out of the loop. So with media, mainstream media.
Hi, I'm Fox San Antonio's Jessica Headley.
And I'm Ryan Wolf.
Our greatest responsibility is to serve our
Treasure Valley communities,
the El Paso, Las Cruces communities,
Eastern Iowa communities,
Mid-Michigan communities.
We are extremely proud of the quality, balanced journalism that CBS 4 News produces.
But we are concerned about troubling and irresponsible, one-sided news stories plaguing our country.
Plaguing our country.
The sharing of biased and false news has become all too common on social media. More alarming, some media outlets publish these same fake stories without checking facts first.
The sharing of biased and
false news has become all too common on social media.
More alarming, some media outlets publish these same fake stories true without checking facts first.
Unfortunately, some members of the media use their platforms to push their own personal bias and agenda to control exactly what people think. And this is extremely dangerous to our democracy.
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 Because if you look into who owns these companies, it's owned by AT&T and Viacom. Two companies, and these companies also own pretty much the entire entertainment ecosystem. So you have two massive companies that own the entire entertainment ecosystem and the food system and the media, knowing like with Scientology how you're getting your information from one source and how that can ultimately lead you to becoming more mind control it's the same thing. It doesn't matter if it's for, apparently it doesn't matter for, even if it's for quote unquote democracy, right? Like we are supposed to have truthful journalism. We are supposed to have truthful news that's actually reporting real life facts. That I believe in. But when you have the same organizations all pumping out the same information, saying that, I remember looking at CNN one time and they really put an emphasis on how safe the vaccine was, and it was like, it is 99.999999999, literally not like 10 nines, like literally. So it's like they're trying to push this so far into people's minds that they're willing to over exaggerate certain things to get their viewers to believe certain things, to have more fear into their lives, and just overall create a more like mind control receptible person. So I just think it's really important just to be watchful with mainstream media, and not even just for COVID-19. I'm talking about for everything, dude. Like, I think independent researching is going to be your best friend because you can pull multiple sources rather than taking one source and one source alone that's controlled by the same organizations all throughout the world with an insane amount of money, who's part of the World Economic Forum as well. So this is what I'm trying to get, guys. Like, you guys need to be putting these dots together. You need to understand how serious psychological warfare is. You guys need to understand how massive these companies are and how much they really own in the world. You guys need to understand just how much fear can really make you a hermit in life, and how it can keep you in such a low state of vibration to keep you in that negative neuron side, that devil side, okay? And my final point, government employees are not required to get vaccinated. I'm talking about like Congress, Senate, them. And then you look into private organizations or private companies, the CEO doesn't need to get it, the owner doesn't need to get it, but all the other workers within that company do. So why is it that our own senators, congressmen, and congresswomen, they don't need to get the vaccine? CEOs don't need to get the vaccine, but everyone below a certain status has to get it, or else they're going to lose their job. Millions have already lost their jobs. Why do you think we have no workers? Why do you think there's food shortages going on? It's because people are being forced to take a vaccine that they don't trust, rightfully so. So ask yourself, everything I've said, ask yourself, does this guy have a fair point to be questioning these things, or is he just completely delusional and he should just stop believing, or he should stop thinking the way he is thinking, and he should just hop on the train of just, yes, I will do that, I will do this, I'll get the vaccine, I'll be a good citizen, whatever, okay? I'm not going to do that. I'm sorry. I genuinely think that COVID-19 has become a cult at this point. It has every similarity as any other cult you look up. It's all the same. Just, this is on a global scale. And that's what makes it so hard for people to pick apart, is because to take over the entire world seems like an impossible feat, but it's really not. Like, it's difficult, but when you fully understand kind of the things that are going behind the scenes, it really starts to make sense how easy it is to use certain things to your advantage, to get people to believe certain things, to have certain fears in their mind, to keep them from thinking critically. And I like to say this a lot, a thinking mind is a dangerous mind. These people can't have thinking minds, because then they don't have control, they don't have power. And the funny thing is a lot of people who stand up for like climate change and fair wages and equality and stuff like that, they say all these things, but they don't do shit. They don't go out into the community and try to change things. So when it comes to something like this, they're not gonna question it, because it's just so out of their world, because they're not even doing the bare minimum in the first place. So when it comes to something like this, of course they're not gonna think anything of it or do anything against it, because they're already so stuck in just that feeling of like getting a dopamine hit by just thinking you're doing good, by you think you're doing good, but you don't actually do any good. So they get caught in that idea like, this is for the greater good. I'm gonna go ahead to get the vaccine because this is for the greater good, and everything that I believe in, how industry is corrupt, blah blah blah, all that's gone out the window. You know, like, how did big pharma go from the most hated corporation in the world to making the most money any corporation has in 2 years? Like, if you guys understand how much money they make from these vaccines and how doctors get paid per vaccine that they give out, this video is definitely gonna get taken down. So if you guys want to see this full video,